Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli back out here in the shop, and we're continuing our talk about that thing right there, a suspending jerkbait. It's a killer. You gotta have it in your box. This is part 4 of the ultimate guide to suspended jerkbaits. And in this last part, we're gonna talk about the tackle. We're gonna talk about the rod, the reel, we're going to talk about the line again, and how all 3 of those things complete this lure, complete this package. You know, it's funny because on a lot of lures, a lot of techniques, you can get away with any rod, any reel, any line, right? You can sort of get away with anything. But on some techniques, like a jerkbait, like a suspending jerkbait, you really need more specialized tackle, rods, reels, line, to make this thing operate the way you need it to operate, right? To make this thing work right, you need specialized tackle. So we're going to talk about this stuff today. Let's start with the rod, because in suspending jerkbait fishing, right? Over the years, when I look at what I did wrong, when I look at other anglers doing wrong, there's a lot of mistakes with the rod and the reel and the line. So let's talk about that. I want to start with the rod. And rod selection on a jerkbait is very, very important. It's probably the most critical component to getting the right cadence, to getting that action right, and to landing the fish, okay? So I want to talk about both those things. Let's start with cadence, right? And I know what you're thinking. You're watching this, you've watched the whole series with us, and you're thinking, what does the rod have anything to do with the action of the bait or with the cadence? Well, it has everything to do with the action of the bait and the cadence. And if you remember, in the second part of this series, we went over cadence, and we said that cadence is the rhythm of that bait. It's the rhythm that when you find the right series of jerks and twitches and pauses, it's like magic, right? You get that first bite, and it's like the fish solving the puzzle. And it is the most critical component to it, is the right cadence, the right rhythm or series of jerks and twitches and pauses. And having the right rod will help you with that, will help you impart that cadence. And there's 2 pieces. The first one is realizing that cadence, that those twitches and pauses, those jerks and twitches, right? Doom, doom, pause. Doom, 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 pause. It is all wrist-based, okay? Listen to me. Guys, it's not arm-based. Cadence of a suspending jerkbait is not imparted with your arms. It's all wrist-based. These are wrist movements. These are wrist twitches and jerks, right? Where you're using your wrist. And you're doing it close to your body, right? For comfort and for when that fish bites. If you're imparting twitches and jerks, if you're making the cadence with your arms, you're doing it wrong. You're not being efficient. You're not being effective. When the fish bites, you're way out of position. Cadence, twitches and jerks is a wrist motion. And because of that, we want to pick a rod that has a very small butt section, okay? Look at that. That is specialized. That is a shorter butt on that rod than a normal standard rod. It's not quite a pistol grip, but it's not a long cast design like you would see with a flipping rod or a Carolina rig rod or a swim bait rod, right? It's not a long handle design. It's a short handle design. Short butt section. And the rod itself is short. This is a bad example because I'm short, so that's a bad example. But the rod itself is short, okay? So the first thing we want when we're picking a rod for suspending jerkbaits is short but shorter rod. I'm going to give it to you real easy. You ready? Here it goes. We want a 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", up to as long as 7-foot rod. Shorter rod. My ideal length in a jerkbait rod is 6'8". This one I'm holding right here is a rod I designed specifically for this. And it's a jerkin twitching rod for jerkbaits and topwaters by Abu Garcia. It's an Ike Series rod. But it's 6'8". Okay, 6'3", 6'4", to 7 foot, shorter rod. This is a 6'8". Short but critical, guys. It's wrist, right? Shorter rod, shorter butt. Keep it in your body. It's all wrist cadence. And then we want the rod to have a soft tip to it. All right, soft tip. Now this piece to rod selection is 2 parts. This is going to help us with our cadence, and it's going to help us land fish, okay? So here we go. Why do we want that soft tip? And by the way, a soft tip in most rod actions is going to be a medium action, okay? So 6'3", 6'4", to 7 foot, soft tip, medium action. This is a 6'8", medium action. We want that soft tip. We want that medium action. 3 things. It's going to help us make those casts. Some of these suspended jerkbaits are not heavy. They're light. So we're going to be able to make those long casts. That soft tip, as we cast it, loads up. Look. Bam, bam. It's like a rubber band, right? Bam. It's going to help us cast that jerkbait. But our cadence, this is critical. Short butt, short rod. As we're making those twitches and jerks, we want to have a little bit of that same rubber band effect in the tip, right? So when we jerk it, as we pull forward, it like loads like a sponge, right? And it really helps that lure get a more unique cadence and a more unique action as you twitch it. So that softer tip's going to help us with our cadence. It also makes it easier, right? You're not overworking yourself. And last but not least, medium action, soft tip. Why we want that? Because we're going to land more fish. A suspending jerkbait has treble hooks on it. It has 3 sets of trebles. It has 2 sets of trebles. And fish can throw it, right? You know a hook fish on a treble hook, a topwater, a crankbait, a jerkbait, suspending jerkbait. They're going to dive, they're going to jump, they're going to surge. And when we have a soft tip, that's going to help absorb that thrashing, right? Especially when those fish get near the boat and they're making those last couple dives. We don't want a stiff rod because the fish dives, the tip doesn't give, and the lure pulls out. We want a soft tip to give with the fish as you're fighting that fish. It also gives a little delay on the hook set. This 6'8" Abu Garcia Ike Series rod is called a delay series because this particular rod is composite. It's part graphite, it's part fiberglass, so it has a forgiving nature which also helps with a delay in the hook set. All right, here's the rod, right? 6'3" to 7 foot, medium action, short butt. Let's go to the reel. Simple rule on reel. I want you to get a good bait casting reel. I like the low profile styles. Revo MGX, a Revo Ike, STX. Any of those reels are great, whatever brand you use. And we're going to pick the gear ratio based on our cadence, based on what we're doing with the lure. So if the fishing's slow, if it's dead of winter and your cadence is twitch, twitch with a 5 or a 10 or a 15 second pause, I'm purposely going to go to a slower gear ratio. 6'4" to 1, to a 7 to 1. 6 to 1 is perfect. So something in the low 6s to about 7 to 1 when you want a slower cadence. When you want a faster cadence, if it's July or August and we're fishing for smallmouth on Lake Sinclair and I'm fishing a pink X-Wrap as fast as I could jerk it. Do-do, do-do, no pauses. Do-do, do-do, choo-choo, choo-choo. I want a fast retrieve reel. And that's when I'm going to go to that high-speed, low-profile reel. MGS Extreme, Revo Ike. I want a reel that's, let's call it 8-0 to 1 up to about 9-0 to 1. I want a high-speed reel when my cadence is fast. So pick the retrieve based on your cadence, okay? Real easy. And then last but not least, and we did mention this in the last episode talking about how to make that lure rise or sink, but this last one, guys, is very important in jerkbait fishing, and it is line. Picking the correct line for a suspending jerkbait. And in my opinion, these are the two that you want to use, hand in hand, 50-50, right down the middle. Fluorocarbon, sorry, I got it backwards. Fluorocarbon and monofilament. Fluorocarbon and monofilament are the two line types you want to use for fishing a suspending jerkbait. And here's the deal. Guys, this is a tool. Just like the rod, the reel, just like the hooks. Line is here to help you get the bait to do what you want it to do. So, real simple rule of thumb, guys, on fluorocarbon versus mono and when you pick which one. When you want that bait, when you want this suspending jerkbait to get deeper or to slightly fall, to slightly sink, I'm going to go with fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon's dense, fluorocarbon sinks, so that's going to help your jerkbait get deeper or get into that nose down, slow, super slow sink movement using fluorocarbon. I use Berkeley Trilene 100% fluorocarbon. I really like 6 to 15 pound fluorocarbon, but 8 or 10 is what I throw. I would honestly say 80% of the time when I want to get that suspending jerkbait deeper or I want to get that suspending jerkbait to get a little nose down or a little bit slow sink, I use fluorocarbon, okay? Deeper, get that nose down, using fluorocarbon. The other 50% of the time, I want that jerkbait to stay shallower. I want to keep it higher in the water column. I want to keep it above the weeds. The fish are suspended higher. I want to keep it up. Or when I want that suspended jerkbait to get a little bit of that nose up position, slow rise sometimes, I'm going to mono. Mono has properties exactly opposite of fluorocarbon. It's high buoyancy. It floats. It makes the bait rise. Same line categories, 6 pound up to 15 or 17, super heavy cover, but 8 or 10 pound mono is perfect for getting that bait higher, shallower, or a slight rise on the nose, a slight float to that suspending jerkbait. So line choice, Flora, mono, by the way, that's a Berkeley Sensation, great monofilament. This will help complete the package. Guys, when you put all that stuff together, these were long, 4 long episodes of how to maximize this bait. It is for sure one of the best baits ever created, not just for cold water. Remember that, all year long. Try some of those tips you've heard in these last 4 parts. Try some of the areas that we talked about, the positioning of the bait. Try some of that stuff, and you're going to become a better fisherman, I promise. This was the ultimate guide to suspending jerkbaits. It's been a great bait for me in my career. It's going to continue to be a fish catcher to the end of my career. The suspending jerkbait gets bites when nothing else does. I hope you enjoyed this series. It was a lot of fun delivering it to you guys. If you like this stuff, man, if you like these series, if you like our content, hit that subscribe button. You gotta subscribe to the channel. If you do that, we're gonna get you new stuff every week. You don't even have to ask for it, we'll send it to you. We'll just send it to you, okay? Subscribe to my channel. If you're already subscribed, tell your friends about Mike Iaconelli Fishing. We got a lot of good stuff to share and hopefully help you catch more fish and become a better angler. Have a good one. Try a suspending jerkbait. You won't be sorry. Bye, guys.